Is it working? I think it is. So then, welcome to our Foundry Vtt Workshop. In this workshop, we want to check out the cool new Foundry virtual tabletop, and we will then go over basically a one-shot creation. So we will create a world. We will check out what kind of modules you need, what kind of game systems there are. Then we will create scenes with maps, grids, walls, doors, lights, and so on. And also, of course, characters, monsters, tokens, and all that stuff, and how to use it together with D&D Beyond. And then as the last part, we will go over the fluff. So show you some cool effects that it can do, some cool optimization options that you might have or not have, and what exactly is the advantage over other VTTs that are out there in the field. So without further ado, let's just start. I guess you should all be able to see my screen. Let me quickly check if that actually is working, because there are some things there. That is good. Let's quickly test the setup if my laptop just died for whatever reason, or whatever the hell is going on here. Anyhow, so the first thing that you want to do is decide your game system. Basically, it's not a decision that you need to do. You can, if you want to, install all of them that you ever heard of, and then use that accordingly in the games you want to run. So right now here I have D&D 5th edition already installed, but there is more. If I would actually use the correct window, then it would work. There we are. Yes, you should be supposed to see the screen. Are you not? No, not on Discord, on Twitch. Easy. No biggie. So yeah, you hit install system, and then you can just search for the system that you want to have, or you can just have a little scroll there and look out what there is. There is basically every kind of system that you ever heard of. So there is the Dark Eye, there is Pathfinder 1 and 2, there is 3.5. I know that 4th edition D&D is currently under development in beta. There is Call of Cthulhu. There is Merkborg, whatever that is. Here we have Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. A bunch of others. It's a long list that you can scroll through. A lot of niche tabletop systems. And the one that is officially associated with Foundry right now is the Warhammer Fantasy tabletop RPG, not the miniature game, not the war game, but the RPG. But we're gonna do D&D. So what you do here is basically just click install, then you wait a couple of seconds. There's this blue bar showing you if it's done or not, and then you see it was installed successfully. And there we go. There are the two systems. Now I could run games in 5th edition or 3.5 if I want to. That is basically everything you need to do in order to install your game system. Then you have the game worlds. I here have 2 copies of my campaign, Dungeon of the Mad Mage. But we're gonna create a new world since we want to do a one-shot. So we're gonna put in a name, SwissRPG. No. One-shot, workshop, whatever. I actually advise you to do a detailed name here. I'm gonna show you why in a couple of seconds. Then you need a data path, so those 2 are given. Then you just enter your data path there, that you have a folder for your world. And oopsala, we're gonna select the game system. We're gonna use D&D 5. You can enter a description here for your players to read. Even enter pictures and whatever, and then you click create world. That's it. Now, why is it interesting to enter a complicated name? If you hit this button here, delete word, you need to type the exact title of that world into that field in order to hit yes. Otherwise, it's not deleting it. So that is a little added security for lazy fingers and clicking. Good. So then we're going to launch the world. We are the game master. Here you can select players as soon as you entered more players. If you are hosting your world online, it is very important that you have a password here, because otherwise everybody else can log in and do changes and even delete stuff. So have that in mind. Always use passwords, and hopefully complicated ones, not just 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can also schedule next sessions then here and show that to your players here, that when they log in, that they know when the next session is. So we're going to join the session. For some reason, if you are typing something in the chat, I can't read it because Twitch is not loading. Bear with me. All right. This is already basically our working area here. It shows here game paused. Don't be afraid of that. Game pause means if you as a game master pause the game, nobody else can move. So if you have an issue with undisciplined players that keep moving after you said roll for initiative, you can just hit the space bar and pause and unpause the game. As soon as it's paused, nobody else can move. So that is a nice little way to hinder your players to just walk over traps. My players did that once. I wanted to do a cool Indiana Jones-like trap. My players continued on. I had no time to stop them to do the trap, actually. And yeah, so that is a nice feature, actually. Good. Now, we are here in the middle of nothing. And that was, for me, when I first started with Foundry, I was already completely done. I would say, okay, where do I click? Where do I start? What is all of this about? What do I need to do to actually see something and have something there in mind? And that is where we already get into scenes creation. So we have those icons up here on the top right. And we have that one here that looks like a map or DM screen, whatever. And we click create scene. We're gonna name this tavern, since all one-shots start in a tavern for whatever reason. And it's starting to do something here. Here we can configure different things. We can make the accessibility for players or GM only. If you hit all players here, players can basically switch to that map whenever they want to. So usually on normal play, it's not advised to do so. I mean, maybe you have some setup in mind there where this would make sense. I did not come across one so far. So we're gonna leave that there. Yes, teleporting, that is what they call it in Foundry. Yes, that function is there with a bit of a scripting macro module that you need to do that. But players could, in theory, move from one map to the other. Yes, that would be possible by just going on a specific tile that looks like stairs, and then they go on there and then they teleport it to the next map. Yes, that would work. So maybe that could be a scenario where this would be important. Good question. And then background image is already our map. So we're gonna click here and then we're gonna look for some maps. So we're not gonna take Mad Mage map, we need a tavern. And I had a tavern somewhere here. No, that is the camp. Da da da. Where is it gone? No, where's my tavern? Help! Ah, it is in Mad Mage actually. TDDD maps. And we're gonna take the yawning portal. Alright, so it says here yawning portal map. Select file, and just to have some changes, we're gonna hit save changes for now. Oh wait, no, we're not gonna do this. We did something wrong, because we're gonna need to do the same trick that we do on Roll20 when we want to have aligned maps. We are going to quickly get the dimensions of that map. So you're going to the file details and then get the width and height of the map, which is in this case 4,900 times 3,500. And we're gonna enter this here. Not that big. Good. Now, background image again is our yawning portal. Select file, save changes, yes. And there we go. We have a map. And we have a grid. And as you can see, completely unaligned. Of course, like, when does this ever work when you just import a map, right? Okay, but now at least we can see something and have something to work on. So let's then configure this and work on the grid. That background color here is basically what you see all outside of the map, which is more of the mostly something for you. If you like more a dark background, then do this. Eases the eye, for me at least. I'm a big fan of dark mode. And now we're going to configure our grid. So what we need is, first of all, zoom in and check out what we have here. So we have this little tool here, which is the grid configuration tool. Open it up, and then it conveniently marks the grid in red so that everybody can see it. Now, you have different options here. You can set the grid type to gridless, square, and hexagonal rows in odd, even, or in columns odd and even. What we're gonna do, square on this map here. So now we have different ways of aligning this. First, we have the background image scale, so we could actually choose to scale down the image in the background, which I wouldn't do as a first step because we want to keep the image as it was designed by the designer itself, so not shrink it to some weird dimensions. Instead, we're gonna work with the grid itself. So we have here grid size in pixels, and we can use Alt plus mouse wheel or Alt plus up arrow and down arrow to adjust the grid size. I'm going to do that. Let's do that with the mouse. Hold Alt and then start scrolling until it more or less goes into something that seems to fit into those. There we are close. We're getting close. Still not close. Let's check out this one. All right, that looks actually like something that could fit. And now we have the offset position. That is just simply arrow keys, where we can then offset the grid. It looks like I'm moving the map, but I'm not. It's actually the grid that I'm moving. And this is coming, no, it's not 100%. So then again, the grid size needs to go down a bit. Let's try 63 or something like that. Dun. 64 maybe. Oh, that's the wrong key. Let's try 65. Sometimes people give you the grid dimensions, what they designed. This is actually one of the baddest examples that I could have ever choose, because this will probably take forever. And I'm not sure if maybe the grid dimensions are meant to be the bigger squares. Could also be. but it wouldn't make sense on the chair. So I'm trying to align for the smaller ones. 65 was not working. Let's go down to the minimum, 50. That's not. Let's try this, 67. Ah, close enough for showing purposes. That's actually all right. Then we're gonna commit changes. Yes. And it's not even close enough on others, but yeah, we're just gonna run with it for now. Then grid color and grid opacity is, yeah, that is up to you, whatever you prefer. Then we have vision and lighting. So tokens have vision. We gonna do global illumination since this is a tavern. It's not a dark dungeon or something like that. So everything has some kind of light somewhere. Fog exploration is fog of war, basically. So wherever a token goes, they can unveil areas. And then we have a darkness level which obscures the scene to simulate night or dim conditions. I would just leave that for now because there are different options that you can do on lightings, which make way more sense. So leave that out. And then you can automatically disable the global illumination when the darkness level exceeds a certain threshold value. That means if you're going to say, okay, it is nighttime now outside, so we're not going to have global illumination. Now you need to actually explore a city, for example, like you would explore a dungeon. You need dark vision, you need torches, and you need that kind of stuff. So as soon as you turn on the night mode, the vision for the tokens changes. Good. Ambience and atmosphere. If you already have a journal imported, you can assign that to the scene. You can do that later. It's not necessary to do that now. Then you can assign an audio playlist, and you can have weather effects. Those three are in core. You have leaves, rain, or snow. And we're gonna do snow for now. And you can also define an initial view position, which is kind of important on bigger maps. When you load a new map, players then have a different view position and are looking at the blank screen and start asking, hey, what is actually happening? I have a blank screen. And then you tell them, yeah, zoom out a bit. Then you're going to see something because the token is on a completely different place. So you can define that initial view position when you load a map that persons can see their token immediately. And that is the basic scene configuration that you can do. Now, still, just a map with a more or less aligned grid. Nothing really exceptional so far. So let's do some walls and doors. Let's do actually some magic. Walls and doors, aka dynamic lighting in Roll20, works kind of similar, but also very different. It is this little icon here that looks like a Roman temple. And then you have different tools. You can draw walls. You have terrain walls. You have invisible walls. Ethereal walls, very fancy. Doors, secret doors, or you can just clone walls from wherever. So let's just start with a normal wall. And we're going to start from the outside. So you can just have that here enabled and then click and drag. It snaps to the grid in some pixel accuracy. So if you want to have it really accurate, you will hold the shift key and you can place that wherever you want. Or you just don't hold any key, just your left mouse button, and it snaps to the closest point where it can snap. It's not automatically always snapping to the grid crosses, so you can work with that. So there we have one wall. Cool. Now we want more walls. So we're gonna hold Control and start drawing. And then every time I click left, right now, I'm not holding any mouse button, I'm just holding the Control key on my keyboard, and I'm moving the mouse freely without clicking anything. And every time now I click left, it gives me one of these points. And then I start going. Scroll, come on, big map. Could also just zoom out a bit, that would make my life easier. So we're gonna make this a bit more fancy here and just do clicking here and clicking there. I think I'm going to do this. Now right click to release. First section. No. Going to do the same here. Blah, blah, and blah. And the same here. Just very basic, nothing too accurate. If you have any kind of condition that makes you a perfectionist, then please cry or shoot out right now and make me do it more precise. I have absolutely no issue, I can understand that. Pop, pop, pop. Good. Now we have walls. Let's get a test token here. So we're gonna quickly create an actor, and it is our vision actor, completely unrelated to the Marvel character. Great. That's already it. We're going to go to the prototype token, check if he has vision. All right, he has vision. And then we're gonna drag him in here, click on him, and have him active, checking how our lighting is working out. Now we can move him around. That works all pretty good. He can look outside, he cannot look outside where walls are. Perfect, works. Now the yawning portal, of course, has doors. So let's do a door. Door goes here. That's the whole thing. So now the token, what it can do is, or basically what the player can do is now, can go here and see, there is a door. What can I do with this door? I can click on it and open it, or close it. Open, close, open, close. And I, as a DM, if my players start messing around too much with the doors, I can just right-click the door and lock it. Now the player again comes and clicks on it. Nothing happens. Door is locked. Player is trapped. That's the whole thing with doors. Easy as that. So in other virtual tabletops, you actually had to go onto the dynamic lighting layer, select that specific drawing, because on others it's just a drawing that you have to select. You have to delete it in order to open the door, and then have the players see what's behind the door. Here in this case, they can do that on themselves. I know what you're asking, because you're all thinking ahead. Yes, there is a module that gives you locks that players can pick with sleight of hands, thief tools, whatever. That is actually possible. So players could basically do their whole thing there completely without any Dungeon Master interaction. If you want that or not, up to you, but it would be possible. Good. Now, what else do we have on walls? We have so-called terrain walls. Let's try those out. Would actually make sense here. Let's just say you have, let's say this is not a hole, this is a boulder. And a boulder is not completely blocking your sight usually. It is just hiding a bit, but you can still see the rock in your terrain, right? So what a terrain wall does is it still gives you some kind of vision. So you can see the rock, you see the portal here is completely visible, otherwise just like, for example, this area outside here is just outside. There is a solid wall that blocks your vision. You can't see outside. Right now here, you can see the obstacle, but you can't see behind the obstacle. So another token that would be here is blocked off sight. But you can still see, aha, I could basically move around it. But I can also not move through those walls. I'm trying, but those are locked. They are blocked here. So I have to move around in order to get my sight. Shadow updates dynamically in order to find my enemy, shoot him with a bow or whatever. That is also a very nice feature. Also helps you to not obscure the artwork of your map, because what I found out is that a lot of times you have a beautiful map and then you have to block half of it out thanks to dynamic lighting, and nobody is actually able to see it other than the dungeon master on a virtual tabletop, and these players are just basically running around in a maze in between dark spaces and can't really appreciate the artwork of the map, which is sad a lot of times. That will also work for a statue like those, for example. Let's try them. If I'm going to fast scream, huh? Just so let's check out this statue. You see, it is drawing a shadow, but the statue is still there. Very fancy. Good. Still can't see the Twitch chat. My laptop is kind of dead for whatever reason. Gonna do this right now and check out the chat. If I would do a normal wall around the statue, it would completely block it. Yes, let's try this out. Let's do this on the second statue, just for the effect. So, have that here. And now, this is Fog of War because it was discovered. It's basically not the best example. Let's take something where you, there, outside there, we can take this one there. Easy as that. Let's do an imaginary statue here. Just imagine there's a statue. Now let's, oopsala, nope. Take our token, move it outside. You see, it's completely blacked out. So there's our imaginary statue. It is blacked out. Now I can walk around it. It's still blacked out. See? Even if I start to discover the area, I still can't see the statue itself. Now, if I do this here, you see there is still light on that statue from our global illumination. So that is still there. That one here is grayed out. You see actually the difference here. It's just a bit difficult to see. But that is the difference in between terrain walls that just block line of sight, but still give you the object, the obstacle in your path, and solid walls. Then we have more fancy walls to play around with. Let's just say this one here is not a door, it's a window. How do we do windows? So we do invisible walls basically, that we then just put in here. So the blue one is an invisible wall, which works the following way, basically like a window. So the player can see through, it is a window after all, but he cannot walk through. Blocked. He would need to smash the window. Not possible. If you are planning for your players to smash windows everywhere they go, you can change the properties of this wall. You can do that with every wall. And just say, okay, movement restrictions are normal. Perception restrictions, none, because it's see-through. Wall direction, both. We will come to that later. And then is door, none, or secret, or normal door. Let's say it is secret, because we don't want the players to interact with it. update the wall. Okay, go back to GM view. We now see, okay, this is actually a wall. What does the player see? The player is not seeing what it's supposed to see because we are in GM player view. And quickly double check, is that actually a secret door? Did I do secret door? Yes, I do secret door. Okay. So what we can't see on stream right now is that the player does not have this icon here in his view. He just does not see that. So it's still a window for the player, but just to make your life easier, because you know your players are all a band of raging barbarians that smash every window they come across, you make this a secret door, and then when they smashed it, you open it. Now the player can move through because window is smashed. Just needs a bit of creativity on how to work with doors. Good. Let's not make this a door. Let's make this a window again. So is door none. Still restrictions on movement. And it is, the icon is gone. Player can't move through. That's it. Done. So then we have Ethereal Walls. Let's try those one out. Let's see what those do. Ethereal Walls are have no movement restriction, and they have normal perception restrictions. So you can block a player's sight, but make them move through. See? That would also then work for a illusion of death, for example, if you want to say, okay, this area of the tavern here is higher than something else, or just whatever comes to your mind to work with that door. But it is casting a shadow at the end of the day and hiding other tokens. So every token that is now sitting on those tables would be hidden from player's view. Yes? Yeah? Yeah, exactly. Then it would, the players can move through, but they can't see what is behind it before they move through. That would actually be a very good example of using the ethereal walls, yes. Good. Great, great, great. Then what else do we have? We talked about secret doors, we talked about normal doors, and then let's just say, for example, we want to make our lives a bit easier. We can, of course, then select stuff, delete stuff. We can select other stuff, Control-C, copy the stuff, Control-V, paste the stuff, and then adjust it a bit, and then just make our lives easier so we don't have to draw everything. We can just copy stuff, which is cool, but a basic functionality, so just to mention it. All right, good. That is actually walls. There are more walls coming later when we come into the fluff, but now let's talk about lights. Lights. So you go to the light bulb, which is lighting controls, and then you have draw a light source. You can transition to daylight, transition to darkness. That is what I mentioned beforehand. So you can then now transition the whole scene to darkness. Let's do this. And it does a slow transition to night. Bye bye. Let's go to sleep. It's actually very dark. You can change that in the scene configuration, that your darkness is not as dark as this, or even darker as this. Up to you. And then you can transition to daylight again, and it gives you light again. So those are the basic stuff thingies. now let's do, you can reset the Fog of War just by a click of a button here. For all players, yes, okay, Fog of War resetted. Let's check our standard token. And as you can see, Fog of War is resetted. Good. Now let's do nice and cozy lights here. So we go to lights, we have draw light source selected, and then we start from basically the source or the origin of our light. So this thing here, and we start just with the left mouse button holding it, draw it to where we want it. So let's just say it is for those two cozy seats here. Let's move this a bit to there. All right, so this will be the area of our light. Double click it, gives you the lighting configuration. So it is a local light, it is not a global light or a universal light, it's just a local light because it's local. Then if you're not happy with the radius that you draw, you can change that here with dim light radius of 18 grid units and bright light with 9 grid units. Actually, while we talk about this, let's just do a thing. Grid units. So we forgot to talk about this. On your grid configuration, you have the grid scale here. 5 feet, which is the standard. Some scenes require 10 feet. Let's change that to 10 feet and see what happens to our light. So basically nothing changed. We just changed how measurement would work for the players. But apparently for some weird reason, the light source now is way smaller. So it is definitely advisable to check your grid scale before you do lights. Otherwise, you just have to update all the lights afterwards. That's just a bit, I don't know if that is working as intended or this is something that they're working on or even a straight up bug. I have no idea, but it is something to keep in mind. So now let's change this back to 5 feet. And ta-da, our light is back to where it should be. Now, light. Emission angle. You can actually make this light to just emit on a 180-degree light. And then it would look like this, like a half circle. So if you don't have a wall, for example, that would block your light, like this one here does. You see how the radius is changing if I hit the wall? Boing, boing, boing. Then you can just say, okay, I want to have that in a specific angle. If not, if you just want to have light as light works in a 360-degree angle and then do everything else with walls, then you're gonna do this. So, oops, no, that is one too much. 360, good. Now, we can rotate this, just only makes sense if we have a angle less than 360 degrees. We can make this a darkness threshold. So that means if the threshold is set, the light will only be visible when the darkness level exceeds that threshold. That means you could do street lights that turn on automatically, for example, when you transition to darkness. So let's just say you have a city scene and players are walking around there on daylight. And then as they continue to shop through the city, it's getting darker and darker, and at some point it is getting night. So you transition the scene to night, and those lights that you defined there with this threshold turn on automatically. That is something that is so cool. You can just work on the same theme for the whole evening, for the whole session, and just simulate a day and night circle with lights turning on and off and stuff. So that's that. Now let's go to light color. General thing in Foundry, black is always transparent. Black means basically nothing. So as long as this one is set on black, you won't see anything, there is no light. Now we can go and make it a cozy fire in orange. Ta-da, it already updated it. See, we have light. And it's still not taking the 360-degree angle change that I gave it. So let's just hit that. Make it orange, a bit more. Ta-da! Color intensity, if that is too much, you can tune it down to nearly invisible or to really bright. Standard is 0.7, which is okay for one singular light source. As soon as you start stacking light sources, it's going to be too much. So you can tune that down a bit to not have overly bright scenes. Then we have light animations. We have torch, which is flickering. That would be completely all right for this specific scene. We have a pulse, which is basically, yeah, pulsing, going back and forth. Chroma changes the colors of it, so making it a bit of a magic effect. We have a pulsing wave, good for pools, by the way. That is something that is a trick that I'm going to show you later, how you can actually animate water without putting an animation on it. Then we have the Swirling Fog, good for lava, for example, or for acid clouds or whatever. Sunburst, it's a bit, yeah, this one is a bit too much for my taste. Then we have the Light Dome. That is a cool energy field, for example, Tiny Hut or whatever. Then the Mysterious Emanation, cool for magic runes. The Hexadome, more going into the sci-fi effects. Ghostly Light, also very good for water. Reflections, for example. Energy Field. The Roiling Mass Darkness, which I still don't really understand. And the Black Hole Darkness, which I also don't understand, because it's not doing anything for me. I don't know. But we're going to go for Torch. Now we can set the animation speed of that torch and make it flicker really strong. So if you just, I don't know, maybe you have a lot of wind there and wants to flicker a lot, then do this. I usually go down for calm fires, go down to 2, and also set the intensity a bit lower to 3 to just have it in the background, not so distracting for the players, but that's up to you. Let's amp this up again. And we have a super flickering light. All right, update light source. That's it. Let's check out our vision token again. So he sees the light. Ta-da, there is light. So if we would change the scene from global illumination now to not so global illumination, save changes. See, he moves away, but that light still stays. That would be the typical dungeon setup. Let's quickly reset the fog of war. Yes. Go there. Okay. So the rest of the tavern is dark. He can only see that fire there. In order to make this scene a bit more realistic, it would actually require a bit more of a radius, because fire just does not stop after a couple of feet. Or light does not stop after a couple of feet. But you get the idea. That is how it works. So this one here is his 30 feet range of vision. Because maybe he has a torch or he has dark vision or whatever. And that's down there by the fireplace is a natural light source. So now he moves closer. You see how the fog of war develops. Ta-da! He can now talk to his imaginary friend. Good. Questions on lights? Anything? Solid wall, so walls in front of light sources. Ah, okay, I get what you're talking about. So you want to know if how far can players basically see if you put light sources all across your dungeon? Can they basically see then, if they zoom out of the map, would they see where those light sources are, correct? No, they can't. So that is only if there is a completely unobstructed vision. Let's clear the fog of war again. Move the player over here because we have some obstructions in there. Okay, let's clear the fog of war, make it invisible. All right, now let's quickly double check our scene configuration. We have no global illumination, token vision is on, and it restricts the visibility within this scene based on controlled token and their visions. All right, then let's double check our token. Hello, actor. So, oh, by the way, the prototype token here is always the standard token. If you drag this token out into your scene, it's always going to apply this prototype setting. So then vision, dim vision. So it has vision, it has a 30 feet vision. Let's just say it's a human. It does not have any dark vision or something like that. So we zoom out. As you can see, the light source down here is completely blocked. That is not visible. It's gone. So now he actually needs to move, and you see, because I just made one singular wall there, that the light already starts to glow out left and right. Now he's getting closer. There's light coming from there. Aha, let's check out the light. Yay, it's a fireplace. So this is how it works. I will show you a live example on my live maps then later. That's the point where I need to kick out Ariel because he's one of my players and he's going to be spoiled, and I don't want that. Yes, good one. Very good question. Directional walls. Let's talk about that, since we are still on walls and scene configuration and that stuff. Let's do this. That is an absolute, that's a great question. So let's do this. I'm going to do a improvised pit. Let's say this here is a pit. So what you normally would do is you just move the player in there, and he is in a pit now and he can't look out. Thing is, the others, let's just say it's not a pit, it's a cage or something else where people from outside could see into the side, but the person's inside can't see out, like one-sided mirrors. Let's just call it like that, for example. So you want to have the little piggy in its one-sided mirror cage that everybody can see and laugh at. So we're going to do this. Select two. So we select the walls, double click them, and then we can say wall direction. Both means blocking side from both directions. Then for some reason they called it left and right, which confuses me all of the time. I just have to try them out and to see which one is working for me right now, because I have no idea what is left and what is right if I'm on an upside down position. So let's just try out wall, left, update. So now you have those arrows here, and those arrows mean that the person inside of those cannot look outside, because this one here has this blocking. Let's clone that token and make somebody else from outside have a look at it. So as you can see, the person outside can see who is inside of this cage, but he there in the inside has no clue that he's being observed from somebody. See? Does that answer your question? True. Yes. True. Yeah, that is also true, and I tried that out on one of our maps that I'm going to show you later. It's not 100% working as I want to, so I'm going to work with Ethereal Walls there as well. But yeah, that is exactly how you can use this. You can also use this. There is a mod that we will cover later, which is called Wall Height, where it lets you define the actual height of the wall. So you could say, for example, this is a 6 feet wall, and everything that is above 6 feet can look over the wall, just like a fence, for example. And then you can just define on your token here on that 0, you can just say this one here now is 10 feet high. So he would then automatically have vision over this wall. That is also very cool and working for pits. I will show you a actual pit example that I set up. And then afterwards I have to just flash erase Ariel's memory. Perception restrict. Yeah, I'm. So you want to, okay, so basically a milk glass window where you cannot see through if you're far away, but you are close to it. If you then you can see through. Okay, I haven't thought of this setup. I know what you mean, but I haven't thought of this setup, to be honest with you. And let me quickly check. Maybe we can improvise something. No, it's not. But there are probably mods for that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there is a mod for that. Actually, it's basically, if you remember the Apple slogan from like 10 years ago, there is an app for that. That's the same with Foundry. If you have any kind of idea, there is probably a mod for that. Doesn't matter what it is at the end of the day. It's very funny. There's such a huge amount of mods. We will show you later. But now let's just check our to-do list. We did maps, we did grid, walls, doors, lights. Good. So those are all, by the way, this is all unmodified. This is complete basic Foundry objects. There is no mod in anything that we're doing here right now. This is all basic, just for you to know. So all of these are standard features that the program comes with. So now, characters. Since we defined that game to be a 5e game, we can double click this token here and see a standard 5e character sheet, actually, with the basic information. This one here is, of course, a very common commoner. It's the commonest of commoners. And has not really stats and all that stuff, but if you then import a character from D&D Beyond, or just copy paste your values into it by hand or by an automatic import, both is possible, then you're gonna see stuff there. Let's quickly check if I can give you a better example there. Let's import monsters. Good. Let's take this acolyte. This acolyte has, for example, proficiency in medicine and religion. He has wisdom 14 and charisma 11. Anything else is also very common on this commoner. Then he has a weapon. He has a club, and he can actually do spellcasting. So let's check out his spellbook. He can do light, sacred flame, thaumaturgy, blast, cure wounds, sanctuary. Good. Then you have some temporary passive and inactive effects that a player might have. And then you have a biography, which is a standard biography just of the standard monster license from the open game license. That's it. There we have already a token defined. So let's put an acolyte in our scene. There he is. And as monsters go, monsters don't have any vision options enabled because they don't need that. So you as a dungeon master, you just want to have your token there controlled and not see all those weird thingies there. So we have this acolyte here. Good. Cool. And then the character sheet works the same for players and for monsters or NPCs. So you have your features there. Let's go to the chat tab, and let's just say he wants to roll an attack with his club. So you just click on the dice there, and then you can say attacks, normal, advantage, disadvantage, and it says you have a 13. Great. Now you roll damage, critical or normal. It's normal damage. 1 point of damage. An amazing acolyte with his very useless club. That was all very complicated and very much clicking. You can make that easier with additional mods there and additional settings where it just fast forwards all of this and does the same thing that you're used to from D&D Beyond, where you just basically click on your weapon and it does everything and just shows you the values at the end of the day, which you then can apply or not apply depending on the values. Also, D&D Beyond with the Beyond 20 extension that we are all used to works exactly the same. There's absolutely no difference. So you can, as a player, continue playing with that. It's just a different URL. It's a bit more of a different graphics, and that's it. So for players that are a bit hesitant to change the system, absolutely no big deal. It's just a different link and login. Everything else works more or less the same. And those controls up here are also limited to player view and give you not that many options. Good. Then, now another cool feature that we need to talk about on scenes while we add it is the sound controls. So, what we can do here is have an ambient sound. And we can then just do the same thing as with lights. Put a volume thingy there with a radius and everything. Then we're gonna pick a sound file. Do I actually have some sound files here? Oh, too lazy to look for them. Good. So we can put a sound file there. Then we can say the effect radius, volume easing, which then adjusts the volume level of the sound as tokens move closer to the origin, which is basically like the question of the milk glass that you just had, just for sound. And then you can define the maximum volume and then just update the sound, but we have no file in there, so that's how it works. Let's take a different map and a different example there to actually check this out. So we're going to do a quick module which was called, those are the modules that I have installed. Just let's go quickly over this. So I have some modules installed, and now I can choose to enable modules for this specific world or not. So I could, for example, say I want which one was it? I want my moonlight maps, this one. So I just enabled it, save settings. It's going to reload the world. Ah, there's also the snow that we defined earlier. We forgot about that. So there's the weather effect, snow. Now it's snowing. And now I have a scene compendium here, which I'm going to import all under folder. And those are a lot of free maps that are already pre-set up, and we're gonna check out some examples there to check out how this guy that provided us those free maps made them. Let's take the tavern. So view scene. Here we have another tavern. Looks like a standard tavern. Nothing big about it. Let's take vision again and play with him a bit. I don't know if you can hear the sound from Foundry. Please just quickly say yes if you hear some kind of background noise. Guys, you hear the wind blowing? Ah, great. Cool. All right, So the token now hears wind. What is happening here on this scene? Those are lights. So there are a couple of sounds going on here. There is one big global sound which reaches all over the map, which is the wind. Then we have a sound here, we have a sound there, and those are blop blop river sounds. So that is the river MP3. It has coordinates, it has a radius, and it has a maximum volume, and it has volume easing. So it's not hearable as long as we're not close to it. So let's go close to the water. As you can see, now we are basically standing on a bridge and we hear the water flowing under the bridge. This map also has windows set up, so I'm not inside, but I can look inside and I can also already hear the tavern music. So there is a party going on in there. Let's get inside. Let's open those doors. Then, ooh, something is happening. Alright, we walk in. And now just stand in the middle there and observe. So there is a fireplace that does fire and light. Then we have ambient sounds going on. There is music. There are people stepping in. And we can hear that. And if we stay long enough here, there will probably be even more music or something else happening. And let's just say this already was enough. I had enough of party. Let's move a bit away. Open the door. Get here. Some silence. Great. So you could also do, I don't know, kitchen noises in here or something like that would also work. So that is how you can make your players feel the scene more immersive. And have them actually experience different things on different locations on the map. Making it a bit more fun to explore it, which is very useful on bigger maps, because just on online VTTs and all that stuff, and online play, people get distracted very fast and maybe get even a bit bored. That is not necessarily your fault as a dungeon master, it's just the nature of things, right? People are distracted and have other things in their head sometimes, and if you give them a bit more to explore and make it interesting, they might be even more engaged with your game. Does that make sense? Good. Thank you for listening to all my gibberish here. Good, then let's check out another scene. Let's check out some more interesting scenes. What else do we have? We have one that I personally liked a lot, is this ravine with lava. By the way, you noticed how fast this is loading and how fast all of this is moving, right? It's absolutely amazing. It's such a charm to work with it. So let's get our actor here and have him explore a bit. So he comes closer. Here you can also see the terrain walls again in action. How they block vision from that boulder, from that piece of rock, but still give you what it actually is. I mean, you know it's a rock and you know how it's going to look like, but we're not gonna obscure the whole map just because we don't want to show what is behind that. So a goblin can still hide behind those rocks here, while the players are on the other side, and the players wouldn't even notice, but it looks like a normal map and not just like a dark little maze, like down here, for example, where they haven't explored. That should not be the case when they explore. So let's get closer to the lava. See what happens. There is a sound behind that. That sounds more or less like lava. I'd say it's pretty accurate. It's nailed. And now guess what? This here, those effects that you see there moving, those graphic effects, they're all done with lights. And he just made a lot of very small little lights with the same effect, in this case ghostly light, and that color to make it look like that. Let's remove a couple of them actually. So no, that's not work. I don't have my select tool everywhere enabled. Okay, let's just remove a couple. You see what happens? All those effects there were actually just lights. The map itself is completely still. There's nothing happening there. So that's the whole magic, where you can just combine things so it feels and looks like it's actually animated. And then there is more. We're actually already in our fluff section, basically, where I just show off cool things that I discovered. Which one can we actually do? Let's create a new scene. Let's create a new fluff scene. And we're gonna make this 1920 by 1080. You're probably already gonna guess what this is all about. Save. Yes. Now let's go to fluff, view scene, which is completely empty. Good. And now we're gonna do something fun. Which one would be the best? Let's take this one. So, how about this one? That is basically a video file in a loop that does that all over again. So that is just one file here. That is one map. There is no effect on that. There is no light effect. There is no walls on that. There are no other tiles on that. There is no music placed here. That's just the background. That's just your battle map, basically, that you're gonna use then. Let's make this a bit more realistic. Half the grid. Save. Now that actually also makes sense. So that this bridge is 10 feet wide makes sense. That looks good. And now we can do the same thing. We can work on this animated map the same way. You look, those little horses here, for example, they're moving up and down. And now we're gonna start doing our improvements here to block some things for players to not look behind. So that windmill, for example. Or let's prevent our clumsy little players from falling off the bridge. Make an ethereal wall here. Invisible wall in this case, excuse me. It's invisible. Bam. And then just get our trusty little vision token again here. And maybe give that scene some illumination. That would also be great. Global illumination, save. Now, as we already explained, he can't see behind that windmill because we put up some walls there, and now he moves around and sees, oh, there's more horses, yay, and now he's on the bridge, and he just can't commit suicide because we prevented him from that. Here, there is the safety measurements that every dungeon master needs. But he can still walk around and then just jump into the water and get wet. Those kind of things are absolutely amazing. And they also work on other virtual tabletops. It's not that others could not do this, but it's insanely complicated and a lot of work for you as a dungeon master to actually pull this off, and requires the players also to install stuff like browser extensions on scripts and things and this and that, and it's really, really troublesome. And here you can just take the file, put it on there, and as soon as the players log in with their standard browser, no add-ons apart from Beyond 20, they can see that and enjoy. So there you go. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And then you can even go completely wild and go into the tile browser. Look, we have so many beautiful tokens in here. And then we take a different tile, this time as a tile and not as a background. Oh, where did it put it? Am I stupid? Ah no, there it is. Just drag and drop it over there. Close. And as you can see, we can even work with multiple animated thingies. That's just right now it is not making much sense. But it would work. You could take multiples. So just put that over there. There's another animated map. And then combine them. Maybe. Maybe not in case of those two big files. But that's possible. Then what else? There's a lot of stuff that I already imported. There are a bunch of tokens in there, more stuff. Let's do something completely different that will basically make you probably buy the tool just straight away. Let's just leave this and do a new world. So we create a world, and we're gonna call this D&D Beyond Import Campaign, or whatever. So game system is going to be 5e. Create the world. All right, and then we're just gonna launch the world. We are the game master. Join session. Okily dokily. And now we're gonna activate some modules that we need, which is this one here. And I think that is all that we need for now. Let me quickly double check. Oh yeah, the Tokenizer is also very helpful. Save. Good. Now I have to quickly can you actually see my... No, you can't see my browser window, right? No, need to add that. So just give me a quick second and I add that to the scene configuration here. 2222. Let's take browser. Okay. No, that's the wrong browser. Okay, now you should see my D&D Beyond, huh? Is that correct? Great, good. Then, so there is a D&D Beyond extension, not D&D Beyond, a browser extension for Chrome and Chrome-based browsers that you can use. That you can just then install, have your D&D Beyond open, and then you're going to go to your game in the browser. And then make those two connect. Am I connected? Should be working because... Ah no, wait, I was stupid. I forget that all of the time. So when you install a module, when you have the module configured there for your world, you need to go to configure settings, module settings, and then you need to, no, wait, go to manage modules. We have the module enabled, that is good. Then configure settings, module settings, and check if that is all working. That is the wrong module. That is why it's not working. I'm stupid. This one. There. Save. I wanted this one. Okay. Good. Now we can actually work with that. So. Try again. Now, connect to Foundry. Alright, that is connected. And now we see that here on our D&D Beyond that it is connected. Good stuff. Now what you can do is for the stuff that you own, you can go on Lost Mines of Phandelver. I own this one, for example. And then you go on a chapter. Now the module shows you that there is one scene import. It's the Crackmore Hideout. It has a 3-star rating. I'll come to that right now. And it gives you a button, Import to Foundry. So you just click that, wait for that spinning globe there to be done. And now it's done. So, and what we then see here is in our scene directory that we have the Crackmore Hideout without a picture for whatever reason, because I think I have a mess up with my compendium, but that is to be fixed easily. Where is it? Maps. Oh, let's do something. Let's do something else. Okay, we have the Crackmore Hideout, and we take this map. Save. Save changes. So, if you already played Lost Mines of Phandelver, this one will be pretty familiar. In good or in bad times. Some people died here a couple of times, others succeeded and became heroes afterwards. But what the importer did is the following. First of all, it usually imports a map if you did everything right, not just like I did and copy-pasted different compendiums over each other. It gives you the original map just right from your module, this one. Aha! Ah, yes. Okay. Yes, that makes sense. Make that invisible. How about now? Thank you. I'm not a YouTube star. Please excuse me. Okay. So now, usually it would give you the original map from Lost Mines of Phandelver, but I have a bit of a mess with my data, so it's not working because I imported that already a couple of times for testing purposes. And Okami, you're here, so yay! You probably have war flashbacks right now. Yeah, just for your information, Okami, one of our viewers right now, played this specific map there with me as a dungeon master and lost 2 of his companions to goblins here. So very critical scene in all of this. But let's get back to what the importer actually did. So first of all, it should be importing the original map, not the animated map that I by accident found today on a giveaway on Patreon. But it then also has lighting already defined from the community. So there are actually players, community members behind that start making up those walls and positions and where the wall should be and what kind of wall it should be, and link that to the corresponding scene on D&D Beyond then for you to import. This one here right now is a bit messed up since my map is not the original one. So let's quickly correct that by making it very easy. And just move that a bit up here. That more or less, yeah, that actually matches a bit. So I can adjust this very quick. Doesn't really matter. So those maps are already there. You don't have to draw them all for yourself. They are already there. Then we also have no lights. In this case we don't have lights, but doesn't matter. But we also have a very important thing. We have the journal entries. We actually have, for every scene, the corresponding entries. So we can start DMing with those. We just double click the position here, cave mouth. We have the goblin blind where a couple of goblins hide. Just double click it, you get what you want to know, and then you move on. So the players move on, you get into the kennel, and then you have Clark's cave, and it has the original artwork in it and describes everything. And there is Clark the Bugbear, and that includes links. So if you click that, you can't see it right now because I deleted the scene, it goes to the monster on D&D Beyond. Shows you that. You can also show this artwork then to your players and say here, click show player, and then they get that picture on their screen, so that it's not just the dungeon master that can enjoy the nice artwork. And that is basically just by pressing that one little button that I just showed you on D&D Beyond, you have everything in Foundry that you need to run that specific session with your players. You have the complete scene. It's in there. The only thing that you're still missing, what they're not doing for you, is placing the tokens. So you could just check here and say, aha, here we have 6 goblins. And one of them is the leader with 12 hit points. Alright, then just take 6 goblins. So we go again to my companion that I already created and forgot to delete before we do this workshop. Where's my companion? Am I stupid? No. There. Companion, import all content. There are my monsters. Those are actually all coming from the open game license and from D&D Beyond, from the stuff that I own there. And apparently it's empty because, why is it empty? Because I imported the wrong folder. Import monsters SRD. So now, there we have stuff. Alright, so we search goblin. We have goblin here. We have goblin at home. And then we have 1 goblin, Control Z. We have 2 goblins, 3 goblins, 4 goblins, 5 goblins, 6 goblins. And one of them apparently is a leader with 12 hit points. So let's adjust that. Close. Done. Now this has 12 hit points. And we can make this even more gamey, since those tokens already look a bit gamey to me. But let's do it more gamey and give him resources with bars. And we make this always for owner. Owner is me, game master. And we need the hit points. And on bar 2 I would like to have abilities. Wait, should state with abilities A. No, it's not with abilities A. Why is it not sorted alphabetically? Attributes AC value, armor class. So I want to have the armor class, and it already shows me the data. Update token. So this token now then has this green bar there, which shows me the hit point. And when I right click it, I see, aha, 15 armor class, 12 hit points. Alright. Now let's say one of his goblin friends hit at him and wants his position in the clan and wants to climb up the ranks and hits him. 6 hit points. So the bar changes color. It says, alright, he's hurt. He's not dead, but he's hurt. And then he got hit again and has 1 hit point left. Now bar again, changed color, it's red now. And very little. So if you have that enabled on all the tokens here, you can actually define that on the prototype token resources. Let's do this again. Display bars always for owner. Let's just do hit points, that's enough. Update. Okay. Delete all those. And we updated all the prototype token for goblins, so all the goblins will have the same setting. See? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 goblins again. There we go. And then we do the rest of the cave. Takes us at the end of the day with reading and playing around a bit. Takes us half an hour to set up the session for a whole evening. I think, Okami, correct me if I'm wrong, we played like at least 2 sessions on this map, right? Yeah. Maybe even 3 because you came, yeah, maybe even 3 because you came back and wanted to rescue the people that were already dead, yes. Doesn't matter. So, yeah, so that would be a preparing, yeah, that would be half an hour preparing for like 2 or 3 sessions. And you're done. That's it. And I mean, this one here right now, this is an animated map. It has water, it's had flowing bushes and whatever. It's so cool and it's still very performance. So much performance, so much wow. Big map. I really like it. I mean, you can probably hear it by my enthusiasm that I absolutely love this tool. And then right here now on this animated map, I would still recommend to do light sources because this is just an animation. Players would not be able to see this. So continue to do light sources in order to give them that. But make the effect a bit more subtle. If you then go for example, some kind of whatever orange. And you have a... I wouldn't even put in light animation type there in this case. If you work with animated maps, I would just leave that out. And then update, and then you can just play around with that a bit and modify the walls, since there is this wall here in the way that doesn't belong there. Oop, you wall there. Need to zoom in, can't see shit. Getting old. You wall there, you actually belong somewhere over here, whatever, so that our light looks a bit nicer. You come there, and I think you there. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. It's not important. So yeah, just give them a little light source there that you can show your players something if they don't have vision. And yeah. That's all you need to do in order to prepare things at the end of the day. That is all your preparation you need to do then. And that is so cool for stuff that you own on D&D Beyond if you have that. If everything is working correctly, yes. The importer is working on, I mean, there is right now a known bug on Curse of Strahd chapter 7. For whatever reason, there is a known bug and you can't import that specific chapter, but that's just a bug. Then the whole scene import and all that stuff is completely free. If you want to import NPCs, like full NPCs and not just goblins or stuff like that, then the tool would require you to make a Patreon pledge to the developer of that. But that is absolutely optional at the end of the day. I mean, I personally recommend to at least do him, I don't know, a couple of bucks there for once, not a subscription, just a one-time payment of a couple of bucks to that guy just to appreciate his work. And then just import your scenes and get on with it. because the amount of NPCs that need a fully grown character sheet at the end of the day are just, I don't know, 3, 4 for such a campaign as Lost Mines of Endeavor, for example. So you could get away with doing this manually. But everything else, apart from, of course, you need to own the content on D&D Beyond. So otherwise you can't import it because you actually can't even see it. Otherwise, the browser add-on and the module is free. That's completely free. No. If you do your own monsters and stuff, you can import that. That is a different module. That's actually a character import module that even links your character sheet to D&D Beyond. So if you update your health in D&D Beyond, for example, it automatically updates the token. If you do your own monsters, you have the character sheet in Foundry. Basically, that's we can just make a new monster. So let's do yes. So let's do Louis monster. It's a non-player character. It's going to be in monsters because it's a monster. And now we can start just to give him stuff. We can say he has a strength of 20 and a dex of 18 because he is a very good fighter. Constitution of 16 still. Intelligence, of course, unfortunately, just a 10. Average intelligence and average wisdom and average charisma. I don't know. So, and he is proficient in acrobatics and in athletics and maybe in stealth. So there's that. Then we're gonna add features. We're gonna add a weapon that we can just then define. So we can put description here. It's your weapon. And we're gonna define details. It is a adamantine weapon with, yeah, let's say it's two-handed, whatever. And a weapon type is a martial melee weapon. Weapon usage is 1 action. There is no activation condition because it's just a weapon. Blah 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 blah. No resource consumption. So you can define all that stuff just right here. And then action is a melee weapon attack. And it is the strength modifier with an attack roll bonus of probably +5 because he has a lot of strength, whatever. And then there is a damage formula, which is, let's say it is 2d8 of nothing. And that's it. And there you have the weapon. You can do that all by yourself. Or you can just use the standard, you can just make a NPC character on D&D Beyond and then just link that here and import it. And as long as this name is exactly the same as in D&D Beyond, it updates automatically, links it directly in between the two. That is very cool, yes. And then let's do the Tokenizer. That's also a module that is coming from the same person that does the import browser add-on. So you get the standard, if you import a monster, for example, you get the standard monster picture from D&D Beyond. And you want to have that then as a token with a circle around it. So you can just play around with this one here. You can, I don't know, make it black. As I mentioned, this is transparent at the end of the day. Then you can just move this around a bit here and customize your token, and you can move the goblin around or can zoom in on the goblin. Maybe you just want the face. There you go. You have just the face. Okay, we saved it, and now every goblin that we're going to place looks like we just defined in the Tokenizer. So just for quick token adjustments. It's not the nicest token in the world, but it's a token. Exactly. On general media handling, everything that you do in here is basically the stuff that you have saved on your computer. So let's just say you want to add, I don't know, some kind of chest or whatever. You go to your tile browser, and then you can just go to your file browser when you click on choose file, and then you can just let's take this is barrels. Then you can just drag and drop it in. So now we have here some very unfitting barrels that do not belong into the scene, and there you go. Ooh, by the way, I think I have the Crackmore Castle here somewhere in that browser, now that you mention it. No, not the Crackmore Castle, the hideout. I think it's saved here somewhere. Yeah, there it is. So that is the original scene. And you put that on there, and now you see that without, if I wouldn't have moved around the walls, they would fit pretty close to what you need there. Because those are not machine generated. You see, those are made by hand by people and then submitted. You see now this scene here, I just had to readjust that. Fits perfectly and does everything. So the people said, okay, this is going to be a terrain wall. And what we actually could do here, this would be a perfect example of directional walls, where we have then, let's see if right is the right direction. It is, yay. Good. Let's get vision. Where is vision? Do we actually have vision? No, we did this. I think we abandoned vision in the other world. Yes, we have to create a new vision token. Create actor. Vision. Vision has vision. Okay, good to know. Erase our search. So let's get vision over here. So vision now can not see up here because it's too high. His vision is not a big character, so he can't see up here, so he actually has to move up here. Oh my god, so many goblins. And now he can jump down here, and he can actually, if one goblin would be down here and he would be up here, he can see the goblin and shoot him now. And let's configure this goblin, give him vision real quick. As vision, update token. See, he can't see his friends now. They're gone. They're up here. Can't see them anymore. So no vision for him. But vision can see him because he's below. Vision has the high ground and is now probably killing Anakin. So this is a perfect example for directional walls that you can use. Just simulate different elevation levels. Yes. Same goes for this bridge here, for example, that causes a lot of confusion a lot of times. Let's move vision over there. Okay, so now your players are here and they see the bridge. I mean, the bridge is very obvious. There is a bridge. But that scene down here is very dark. So now what you could do is, if the bridge is very high up, you just do a directional wall. Just let's modify this one here really quick, because it's just there. Let's hope left is correct. No, left is not correct. Right. Update. Good. There we go. What did I do wrong? I made it exactly the other way around as I said. Update now. So this is still grayed out. You see here is a gap in the wall where you could actually see through. So this is grayed out. So Goblin could actually be there. And then again, see vision, jump down, and engage in the fight. But vision then here should be able to pass under the bridge, but can't because I just do this as an example. But you still can't see the Goblin because the Goblin is in a weird angle. So you can play with that. So then coming back to your prep work that you have to do is you import the scene. Not all adventures and not all scenes are done already by the community, specifically not the longer ones, like for example Dungeon of the Mad Mage. If you want to play that, my personal advice is don't. But if you really want to play it, you have to do everything yourself, because nobody is there sitting and drawing all of those walls in there. And as soon as I'm done with it, because I'm pretty close to finishing all of the maps, I would just upload it and then see and hope the community will be happy with it. But the bigger maps are not done with all the lights. You still get the images, you get the the grid and all that stuff aligned and everything else. That is cool. But it's not going to be as sophisticated as this map here, for example. But a lot of stuff is. And what I personally like the most are the journal entries. I can just double click there, the 7, and then have everything on screen what's going on there. And then I'm done with it. I'm just gonna double click the border of the window, and then I can minimize this, move it around here, have it out of my sight, and if I need to look something up, I just double click it again and have it open. It is very convenient and very much focused on the Dungeon Master. That is my view on those things. A lot, actually, a lot. So I'm playing around there now with my campaign for about 2 weeks, and I already basically did more than I did in the last year with the whole campaign. Just because first of all I'm interested in it, and second it is so much easier to do it, and does not annoy you. It's fun to work with, and that's why you get stuff done at the end of the day, at least for me. So then, shall we just quickly have a look at my campaign, where I have a lot of stuff going on. No, you can continue. I trust you. Yes. Basically, Google search. There are a lot of artists out there that give you them for free. And most of them are in the so-called WebM format, which is a very compressed, let's say it's in between an actual video, like an MP4 or something like that, and a GIF. So it's somewhere in between a GIF, which is basically just an idiot video, and a real video. It's a compressed format, but still giving you some kind of quality and not exploding the file size to the moon. Me neither, until I started. But if you ask web developers, they are all crazy about this format right now. Give me a quick second, I'll be right back. So, there we are. Welcome to Dungeon of the Mad Mage. Something that you usually don't want to hear. Alright, so first of all, as you can see, the map is huge. Oh, wait, well, you know what? Let's go to a map that you actually already know in order to not spoiler you. So those are the scenes that I already have. And you keep scrolling out and out on those maps. They are huge, and there is so much to explore. This one is not imported from D&D Beyond. Those are maps that I paid for. I found a guy on Patreon that recreated all of the maps for Mad Mage. and that also not by accident, just by design, fit with the original walls from the module. So all of those walls were actually already there. I didn't have to go crazy with them, just adjust them here and there and give a little kick here and there, and then that was done. So that is how a full-fledged map then actually looks like, with all the stuff going on. So there's lights, there is dungeons, there is things going on, there are goblins. Yeah, it's 23 of those. It's not just 3 or 4. That could actually be acceptable, but it's 23 of those. It's a hell lot of stuff. And yeah. It's massive. But nevertheless, I mean, look, for example, here by the description of that room, there are glooming mushrooms. So I put that that chroma effect here to make it glowing in different colors back and forth and so on, just to make it a bit nicer to look at. And then we can quickly talk about macros and targeting and why you should actually ditch D&D Beyond as soon as you can. So let's get a character. Let's get this character, because you're actually here. Good. Now, since this map was completely recreated, the players actually discovered this map and they know the place, so absolutely no issue. But they still have Fog of War going on. And don't mind the, I don't know if you even can see that. For me, it's a bit flickering since my monitor is trying to sync with the 60 FPS from that thingy there. But I guess you can't even see that. So what you can do is, if you have your complete character sheet, you have your spellbook with the appropriate spells in there. So there are spells, for example, that have a spell target of an area effect, for example, like light. It's not the best example, so let's get one that actually would do some Cloud Kill. Cloud Kill would be a perfect example. So let's have a look into Cloud Kill. So Cloud Kill does a 20 foot sphere of a cloud that then afterwards kills people, and those people in the cloud would need to make a DC. They need to do a saving throw, which is defined here. Otherwise take 5d8 poison damage and probably with those goblins die immediately. Anyhow, so what you can then have with different modules activated is, first of all, a texture, which is then a animation, for example. I just have to quickly get through my mess. I guess, yes, we have stuff here. Cloud Kill is 5th level. Is it actually there? No. Let's take... It doesn't actually even matter. Let's take... Yeah, let's take Call Lightning. Call Lightning, select 5. So by defining this template here in the spell itself, every time you use that spell, you take that effect. So it's going to be always the same. Then you have range, you have the duration and all that thing and all that stuff going on, and that's actually about it. So let's do something with it. You're going to find yourself some targets, and now you're going to cast Cloud Kill. We are not going to consume spell slots, just afterwards we don't have any spell slots anymore. And we want this. We want to have place measured template, which then automatically creates the template according to your definition. And if you hover over your enemies, this is actually a bad example because it does obscure our enemies here, but you can see that it targets the enemies automatically that are within the range of it. Yeah, so it targets them automatically. So you place it, you cast it. Then it gives you the roll, and it is a normal roll. Then it rolls some dice. Nice one in this case here. And now pay close attention to the chat window here. So this one is targeted, this one, this one, this one. So those four automatically rolled saves. So Lurash saves with a 16, the Hobgoblin fails with a 14, this Hobgoblin fails with a 3, and this Hobgoblin fails with a 6. Then the damage is already rolled, it's 5d8, 16 damage poison. Now, you can then click here to apply the updated hit points, or you can click here to remove 8 HP for the save, and then apply the damage here automatically to the token. Let's say, yeah, this one saved, this one did not, so it has the 16. And this one also has the 16, and this one has the 16 damage. Or you can do this on all. So just apply that to all. This is a setting that I choose to do there because I want to still have a bit of control about all of this. But you can automate that completely from start to finish. So the player clicks a spell, chooses its target, says the spell is going to go there. Then the monsters roll their saves automatically. The damage gets applied accordingly to the save or not save status. And you just actually, as a game master, watch the magic happen and the players play the game. And you can, if you want that, of course, focus completely on narrating all the things and forget about dice rolling completely. That, of course, then means that the players are in the hands of the dice, so you cannot adjust on the fly if you want to do that. Of course, that is then completely gone. So you lose a bit of magic, and that is why I'm not doing this automatically. I just want to have the standard actions that I need to do anyway, like rolling saves. I need to roll saves. I can't just say, yeah, he saves. That's not fun. I still need to roll the save, right? So I do those standard actions that are repetitive, that come again and again automatically. And then I'm going to decide what happens. So that is how it works for me. The templates itself, so when you click a spell, then the template pops up. That is coming with Foundry. That is included in the game system that you installed at the start. The graphics for the templates is something else. So a standard targeting template looks like this. So it is a transparent target that just highlights you the squares that it is then covering. So this is just a standard template without any spell behind, so it's not automatically targeting monsters, it's just showing you, aha, this would actually be covered in there. So that is a standard template, and the other one that you see here is a template with a magic effect going on. And then of course they come in all sizes, shapes, and whatever you want. For example, breath weapon. There you go. There you have a breath weapon, and then you can move this around. And Luke asked me a couple of days ago if those could then actually be attached to a token. The answer is yes. We can attach that to a token. And it works with another different module, which is the attach token. So I take a token, not targeted. So I take this token, say I want to attach something, it opens me this little user interface here, and then I say attach selected elements. So I'm going into the targeting again, select my cone here, and then say attach selected elements. It says selected object attached to token. Alright, let's close this, test it out. Move this goblin. And now it moves with the template. So you could actually, if you wanted to do some kind of a Tom Clancy Splinter Cell stealth-based game, you could just say this is your cone of vision, and then move the token around there, simulate a patrol or something like that. I think that was actually the background why Luke asked it. And then rotate them around. You could even do that rotating them with macros also. So let's just say this this dude here found this goblin, and he targets the goblin and now starts shooting Eldritch Blasts. So I have this little macro down here in my action bar, which is very computer gamey, that does always the same effect on the selected target. Now we made enough damage with the Eldritch Blast, so let's heal him. And now we hit him again with a laser pistol. And all that fancy kind of stuff. The thing is, why I was saying your players should actually move away from D&D Beyond as soon as possible when you start using Foundry is that all of this magic only works if you use the character sheet in Foundry. This one here. If you use the character sheet in D&D Beyond and just use the browser add-on as you are used to do in Roll20, for example, to do all your dice rolling and all that stuff, all of this is unfortunately not working. It is still working. You can perfectly play with that, and if you have the time as a dungeon master, you can add some magic effects here and there to just increase immersion or distraction. Depends on how you view it. You could totally do that. But if the players start using the character sheet in Foundry, they have all of that stuff available with macros and automation and things that happen when they click something, and so on and so on. So the question is if you can automate your attacks basically and make it feel like it would be on D&D Beyond and stuff. Yes, you can. So let's do this. By the character sheet itself, you have a weapon here somewhere. Where's your weapon? It's in the inventory, of course. Where else would it be? Okay, so let's just say Elisha wants to attack with a Warhammer. And then you can say advantage, normal, disadvantage. In this case, it is normal. And it rolls the attack, as you can see here, with all the bonuses applied, and also rolls, gives you the exact calculation. And right now it is set up by my default setting to click for damage. You can change that to make that automatically, and then just roll everything at once. So Elisha did 10 damage. Great stuff, Elisha. So now the same thing happening from D&D Beyond. Bear with me 1 second. I have to open up Beyond. Here's my browser. There. You don't actually need to see that. I'm just going to show you how it then shows on localhost. Let's take Elisha. And while this loads in the meantime, let's open up the character sheet. Contains Night Mage. There where is our cleric? This should then now work. Let's hope it... oh yeah, it should show up in the chat. Okay. And now let's do the same thing again, where I just click on the character sheet on D&D Beyond on the usual button. And it's not working because I was not activating the extension, because I'm stupid. Why is it not having access? It is always that same problem. Now, let's try again. No, why? Just bear with me. I will find it. Did it roll? Did it not roll? It is... oh yeah, it rolled in the browser window, of course, which you can't see because I did not activate it. I'm stupid. Wait, just gonna gonna add that again, make that browser visible. There. It should now give you... yeah, you should be able to see that part down here where it rolls the Warhammer +1. It was a 25 in total, and it did one-handed 6 damage, and if two-handed 15 damage, and total 100 damage then 12. So it then also calculates the total if you have anything else going on, like cantrips, for example. It then would also add like Booming Blade, for example, and calculate the total of it. I actually didn't even need to do this for you. Let's deactivate that again because we have that in the chat log. It actually happened here, for example. Player rolled for Eldritch Blast on D&D Beyond. If you see that here. And then it automatically rolls the damage, the attack roll. Let's see if we can get a attack with Booming Blade real quick. There you go. There, player attack with a short sword and Booming Blade. And then it included the sneak attack. So we have the weapon damage, which is 4 in this case. Then we have the thunder damage from Booming Blade, which is 5. And then we have the sneak attack damage of 16. And then all of this equals to a total of 33. So there you have it. It's 4 plus 5 plus 8 plus 16 in Beyond. That was all done with the character sheet in D&D Beyond by, in this case with Booming Blade, I think it's like 2 mouse clicks or maybe 3 mouse clicks at the end of the day. So it is still, it's the same handling as on any other browser-based VTT. So Roll20, for example, works the same, except that the Booming Blade has recently been added to the whole calculation, so that is new. But it still doesn't give you the total. It just shows you the different damage types. And you then, as a GM, get to be a math professional and do all the math by yourself. Foundry does that for you and calculates that. So you know, okay, this did 33 damage. That was the complete thing. Up here was another attack which did a total of 38 damage. And so on. Those are here my monsters that I rolled. So here, this Grey Slut did an incredible amount of damage and an incredible amount of critical hits. If you remember that, Elisha, Ariel. That was nearly killing our trusty little cleric here, this one. So yeah, all of this works exactly like you would expect it. I personally, as a dungeon master, I take the monsters from Foundry, because for me it's just easier to have everything in one window when I do fighting and all that stuff. And the players can then basically choose if they want to use Beyond, if they want to continue with Beyond, or if they want to switch over to Foundry and use the character sheet there. Whatever is working best for them. That is something that I personally leave up to the players. If they are used to that and want to continue like that, then fine for me. If not, it takes a bit more effort to get around the character sheet here, because as you've seen, give me character sheet. It is not as sophisticated as the Beyond character sheet. I mean, you have the basic information all here, and that is something that you can then also roll. You can just say, okay, I'll make an insight check. You click on insight, and then you have maybe a situational bonus. For example, plus 1d6 from inspiration, bardic inspiration. And you're just going to do that with normal. So it does all the calculations. You click on it and you see what happens. So it is a 13 on the d20, a 3 on the d6, plus the proficiency, yes, plus the modifier equals a 23 on insight. So there you go. You can just use the character sheet. Same goes here for normal saving throws, for example. Let's do a wisdom saving throw. So you click on wisdom, and then it asks you, do you want to make an ability check or do you want to make a saving throw? It is a saving throw, this time without any modifier. And again, a 25, because it's a level 10 character, there is a lot of stuff going on. And then you have different things, like, for example, damage immunities. If you completely play with the Foundry character sheets, and the players then do, let's say, I don't know, they make poison damage to an enemy that is immune to poison. It would then automatically take that into consideration, because now it is set up here as damage immunity. It would take into consideration to take away the poison damage. So if your damage is 100% poison damage, then it's not going to work. The monster will not take any damage because it's immune or resistant or whatever. If your weapon does a, I don't know, maybe let's say it does 1d6 normal piercing damage and 1d6 additional poison damage because it's a poisoned weapon, then a creature that is immune to poison would still get the 1d6 piercing damage but not the other d6 poison. And the system automatically calculates that. So that is also stuff that you as a dungeon master would not have to worry about. I personally still think you need to be careful with all of this automation things, because it takes away the magic from the game itself. I mean, that there's still stuff that we as a dungeon master, we like to do that, and it's fun to figure it out together with your players, like, no, wait, this one is immune to poison damage, so this is not going to work, and so on. So careful with that. Totally. Yeah, you get divinity vibes. Yes, as mentioned, yeah. It's gamifying. Yes, correctly. It moves away from traditional D&D if you automate everything and gamifies the whole game completely. At the end of the day, you could reach a state with all of those options to basically, yeah, not do anything at all as a dungeon master other than narrate. I've seen I've seen a module, for example, where even the dialogue options were clickable. So you clicked on an NPC, and then you got dialogue options, and behind every dialogue option was a separate sound file with a pre-recorded answer. So the players could actually click through this dialogue as in a video game and get their answers from the NPC. And I was just sitting there wondering, okay, that is actually a cool thing that you can do this, but do you really want that as a dungeon master? Do you just want to sit there and watch somebody play? At the end, that turns to be a let's play at the end of the day. So, yeah, that's, I mean, people, if they have the option to modify something as to a certain extent, they will definitely do it. So you as a DM have to be careful with all of those options and all of those modules. Let's talk a bit about modules and all that stuff, and go to there, because that is something that will be scary at the start, to be honest with you. So add-on modules. Those are my add-on modules that I am trying out right now or actually use. So not all of them that you see here in this list are in use, not on every world that I would do. So I'm still trying out things and activating, deactivating, uninstalling things as I go. And some of them also are a bit older and are flagged to be a compatibility risk, which does not mean that they are not working, but it means that they are probably not working. So you can still try them out and see if they work, but they might be an incompatibility with other modules as well. So careful with those, first of all. So install a module. Now it's loading packages, and as you can see, it actually takes time. I have one of the fastest internet connections in the country, and it still takes time. And now look at all those numbers here in behind. And those are the modules available for every category. And I mean, let's start with the one that is actually interesting, the premium content here. This is something that you are used from Roll20, for example. You have licensed stuff like the Warhammer Fantasy RPG with prepared adventures and modules. So Games Workshop decided to team up with Foundry as the first official company and provides the Warhammer Fantasy role-playing game with, so far, I think like 2 campaigns or one-shots or whatever those are. And you actually need to buy those. So Foundry is, at the end of the day, maybe in the future also going into that direction, that they offer you paid modules if you actually want to do this. But you don't have to. But it will be there. And I guess like in a year's time, there will be way more than just those 6 thingies here from Warhammer included in that. So if you are that kind of dungeon master that just prefers to buy the stuff and then go through it, read it, prepare it for yourself in your head, then go for it, have fun with it. Will probably happen at some point, but you don't have to. Then there are audio improvement modules, bunch of stuff. The most you find is in tools and controls, and that is exactly what I just mentioned. Tools and controls is a lot of automatization stuff, user interface stuff, and all those kind of things. Here, for example, we have a module for curvy walls, which adds curves and ellipse to the wall layer, which I will probably try out at some point. Yep. Then there is, and then a lot of times there is also a system flag behind the module. So for example, the Monk's token bar is designed for Pathfinder 2nd edition and D&D 5e. So that makes it a bit easier for you. Then you have the award XP module, which makes it easier for you to award experience points to your players. You can actually define a certain experience point amount behind every monster. And every time the players kill a monster, they get the XP automatically credited for that, which is something that you might need. I mean, I as a player always loved to get experience points, and as a player I hate the milestone system. while I, as a GM, love the milestone system because I don't want to keep track of experience points. Really, as a dungeon master, do not want to take track of experience points. As a player, vice versa, I love experience points. There are those little incentives that you get from time to time. For every fight, you get like a couple of experience points, and it feels great. But it's just for me. I need to keep track of my personal experience points. And not for a whole group and calculate, I don't know, we killed like 15 goblins and now we have to give you 5 XP per goblin. That makes the 50 made into plus 25. Ah yeah, 75 XP, there you go. I hate it. So the system could take that for you. Then, Innocenti Looting, something that I tried out, did not really get through it so far because it requires the full usage of the Foundry character sheet at the end of the day, and that makes monsters and corpses lootable at first. That is the first intention of it. It also makes you create shopkeepers, for example, where players then can interact with and buy stuff like in a video game. I want 5 health potions. Aha, alles klar. Those cost 250 gold. Here you go. And all of this by clicking some buttons. You don't need to do anything there as a game master. You can even define a stock. So let's say this vendor here has 20 health potions in stock, and if you buy all 20 of them, the next one can't buy shit. It's done. Yes, you can actually turn this into a video game completely. That is why I meant. And just, I mean, the sheer amount of modules is so overwhelming at first. There is so much stuff, and I'm playing around with this now for 2 weeks. I am crawling through the modules, looking for something interesting. Then I try it out. I do a couple of tests, and then I keep it or don't keep it. So, just by the title, some things sound interesting, some things don't. The same guy, this Innocenti, did the door lock module. Same premise again. Players need to actually embrace Foundry as a whole, use the Foundry character sheet, otherwise it would just not work. Because they need to use their values in this character sheet and not the ones on D&D Beyond. Those need to be up to date. So you need to keep track of your tools that you have, because you need thief tools to unlock a door, and then you need to be proficient in Sleight of Hand, and all that stuff needs to be defined in your character sheet. If not, the whole funny part there would not work. So there's that. Then there is, as you can see, you can keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And those are just the ones that are listed in the system. There are still wild models flying around there on GitHub, for example, or on Patreon. There are people that don't want to offer their modules for free. So they have it locked behind a Patreon pledge that you need to then pay. Then you get the install manifest files, which you then can just copy paste down here in this field there, the URL, and then give you that module. So it is already an incredible amount of free stuff, but there's also stuff that some people just want to see, like $1 for or something like that. Most of the stuff is really not expensive and also very optional. So I haven't found a module so far where I would say, oh man, this is so cool and so essential, I definitely need this here. Have $1, give me that module. Didn't come across so far. Everything is basically free and community developed. And that is the whole beauty of the whole system there, that you can find over 800 modules just in here and then work with that. Different tiles, there are item sheets. Then you have, I haven't actually looked in this one, patches and bug fixes. Yeah, those are pretty much outdated. I tried out this one, the Token Vision feed, and it's pretty much outdated and doesn't do anything for me right now. Visual tweaking, that is actually something that is interesting and worth looking at. Dice rolling, for example, or just audio improvements where you just want to have dramatic rolls, for example. I tried this one out for one session. Every time you roll a 1, it does "aww," and every time you roll a 20, it does "yay." very stupid and very childish, but I wanted to give it a try. I already deactivated and deinstalled because it was annoying as fuck. It was fun for once, but then it was getting annoying. So then, what else do we have? Oh yeah, exclusive content is like RPG music and stuff, and battle map collections from people that do that exclusively for Patreon pledges or the Foundry community itself. So there's a lot of free stuff in there, but also some stuff is paid. Yeah, visual effects. That is one of my favorite category, visual effects, because I can then get animated tokens, for example. I have a spiritual weapon that swings back and forth. So cool. Love it. And all of that stuff is really hassle-free most of the time and can be implemented. If your players then say, look, all of those visual effects and you turned the map into a Christmas tree is so annoying and distracting, please turn it off. Then, okay. So be mindful of what you implement, but you can definitely try things out without breaking your whole thingy there. Because at the end of the day, if it's not loading anymore because you did too much, then just deactivate the module, reload, and it works again. So don't be afraid to try out things. I did not come across a module so far that broke my game world, but I still have a backup copy. So this is basically the fluff. That's the stuff that you actually need to know to get a broad overview of the Foundry. And I'd say we end the stream now and go into open discussion without recording, so that we can just talk about stuff and things that we would like to do with our games. I thank you for viewing and for being with us all of the time. And I hope you found this small little demonstration / workshop useful. And see you around next time. Bye bye.